This week on Weekly Wonder, we're talking about the very controversial topic of three-person Olympic teams versus the usual four-person teams in Nations Cups throughout the year. Now, this topic is hugely debated with strong opinions on both sides of the argument. Some say it's better sport with only 3 riders and no drop score, while some say it puts undue pressure on horse-rider combinations. Either way, three-person teams are happening in Paris, so let's take a look at the details. The first question, of course, is why? Why make a change at all? As per usual, money is at the heart of the change. The Olympic Organizing Committee put an ultimatum to the FEI before Tokyo, saying they needed a solution to allow more nations without increasing the horse quota due to the high cost of transporting and housing the horses and additional support staff. The FEI's solution was 3-person teams with an active alternate, increasing the number of teams to 20 while keeping the total number of horses competing at 75. Tokyo and soon Paris will be the first couple of Olympic Games to host only 3-person Nations Cup teams. After a hotly contested format for the Games in Tokyo, opinions are strong on both sides, whether it was a success or not. People often argue that having more, but weaker teams dilutes the quality of the sport, while others suggest that the Olympic mission is meant to bring sporting opportunities to the whole world, and for some participating is a huge success, while to others medaling is the ultimate goal. Those against it include most chef d'equipes and a large majority of riders. We spoke with Mexican chef d'equipe and former Canadian chef Mark Laskin to get his take on the topic.
I'm a traditionalist, and so I like the classic format. The 3-rider format, I think, goes against the fundamental principle of welfare of the horse. No rider should ever be put in a position where if he doesn't complete a round, his or her country, I should say, is eliminated. I also think it's a more fair model. In our sport, there's so many random variables. We have 2 living beings, one of which is an animal, and the chance of elimination by accident or bad luck is greatly increased. Personally, as a chef d'equipe, it makes my job more difficult. It forces decisions based on caution as opposed to decisions based on excellence. You kind of think that if a horse has ever had an incident, an issue with spooking, stopping, in-gates, water, as a chef d'equipe, you're very, very reluctant to include that horse-rider combination on a team at the Olympic Games. More flags, for me, I'd rather better quality. It's the freaking Olympic Games. You should have people there. And in terms of costs, okay, I'm not going to be popular with the eventing world, but I think they should eliminate eventing. There's a huge cost to putting on a 3-day event at the Olympics. I don't even know the numbers of horses that are involved, but building the cross-country courses and acquiring the land that's required in order to do that. Also, the higher chance of a catastrophic injury to horse and or rider. Well, I think that if you notice something about your horse as you're going around and it might be faltering a little bit and you don't quite know what it is, you might be more likely to pull up if you have someone protecting you, with 3 other riders for your team. If you have a high score as the first rider, it might be a traumatic experience for your horse. You might pull up. You could alleviate a crash or something and a possible injury to your horse by pulling up. Again, you'd be more likely to do that if you have backup. It did, but I think it's a small sample size, and I think it just got lucky. I think if you ran that competition, for 4 or 5 Olympic cycles, yeah, I think there'd be big problems.
We also spoke with a number of athletes and industry professionals who feel that the quality of sport and long-term viability of three-person teams is vital to the continuance of equestrian sports as Olympic disciplines and should continue. The main points they made were, it's easier to watch and follow without a drop score. Very few other sports allow for a drop score or freebies. I mean, no track relay would allow for someone to trip and fall and still have their team win a medal. Given the results from Tokyo, riders will most likely opt for course completion with a confident horse over potentially less penalties or elimination. No rider would pull up in an Olympic team competition unless absolutely forced to, so the pressure is equal regardless. And the most unique aspect of the Olympics is the notion that it's about the best on the day, and no team would be allowed to prevail that has a weak link that didn't contribute to the overall score. The biggest and perhaps most important question really is, if the options are A, three-person teams, or B, equestrian sports are out of the Olympics entirely, I'm not sure so many people would choose the latter, regardless of the pitfalls of such a system. In the end, we saw incredible sport in Tokyo with worthy and deserving winners, both in the team and individually. So it's sure to be equally as exciting come July in Paris.